You are now listening to CTR Media Network.
The family. CTR Media Network. Yeah. Best in the biz. Yeah. Join the team. CTR is who we are, the media network, that's the best by far. Whether you listen at your home, at your job, in your car, come get the information that's needed above par. Never lasting, motivational podcasting, giving you the answers to the questions that you're asking. Serious talks and topics, how to come up and profit, how to better yourself, your health and self. We got it, reaching 350 million, they tuning in. We in 50 different countries, we all can. And like-minded, find your purpose and your assignment. Come get your fix, your feel, your mental alignment. Get active and speak to the masses. Build your influence all levels and all classes. Now you know you can monetize and grow. CTR Media Network. Start the show. CTR Media Network.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to CTR Media Network TV. Today, we have an incredible guest. Yes, Lance Cayko. Lance is not just an award-winning architect and builder. He's a serial entrepreneur, educator, podcast host, and nonprofit founder. From launching F9 Productions during the recession to winning major industry awards and helping communities thrive through architecture, gardening, and education. Lance truly builds success in every sense of the word. Today, he's going to come and share his journey, the power of design, build, entrepreneurship, and actionable tips to help you, yes, you, grow your business, creativity, and leadership. So without further ado, let's welcome, as we discuss the topic, building beyond the blueprint, how to blend vision, construction, and entrepreneurship, the amazing Lance Cayko. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Dr. Tina. Good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no problem. I'm happy to have you here today because when I think about what you do, our typical guest is not an architect. And so they're probably saying, they're starting to do design? No, we're not starting to do design, everyone. But what we're doing, his story was so incredible that I wanted you to hear his story on how to build, because I feel that even though he's an architect, as a podcaster, as an entrepreneur, we all can learn from what you built. We all can learn from what you built. So with that being said, your story was very inspiring because I want you to take us back to when you was laid off during the recession. And what type of mindset did you have to kind of get that bounce back to shift your mind to start building the F9 Productions into the powerful firm that you have today?
Yeah. Well, it was kind of didn't really have a choice sort of mindset. I grew up in Northwest North Dakota, and I was laid off in Boulder, Colorado. And for anybody most people haven't been in North Dakota for good reason. I love it. I still love it there. My family lives there. I'm not trying to crap on it entirely, but that's usually the last state that everybody visits for a reason, right? And Colorado's maybe one of the first ones where they go on a vacation. There's skiing and hiking and Denver and all the things. We have a beautiful climate and all of that. So when I finally moved to Colorado and got my first internship, but then got laid off 9 months later, it was devastating for many reasons. I was graduated at the top of my class, was the first in my family to actually get a degree, let alone three of them, and one of them a professional degree. Just came from a very small town, Native American, poor, that sort of thing, and was the first kind of like person to really move up in the white collar world. So I worked very, very hard to do that, and basically then to get laid off was just like so devastating. And then you couple that with, I was like, well, I really love it here. Like now I have to go back. I just wouldn't let it happen. So the word that comes to mind is just determination and then focus. And then, one of the things I think that God has blessed me with is basically recognizing the Michael Jordan complex and using that to my advantage. So, as a 90s kid, grew up a huge basketball fan. I wanted to play college basketball. I actually got an injury my senior year. Otherwise I probably would have at least walked on somewhere or at least got into a JUCO. But growing up a 90s kid, like huge Chicago Bulls fan, huge Michael Jordan fan. You couldn't get away from it, right? We had Space Jam. It was kind of just everything.
Yeah.
And the league was still awesome. So we don't have to go there, but like you hear that story about Michael Jordan and him not making the basketball team and that one summer, and then working his butt off in high school and using that pain and turning it into and that anger into something positive. That's how I felt. I felt a lot of pain, a lot of anger, a lot of resentment towards those goofball other architects who just were bad business owners, and ended up me having to be laid off with two children, one just newborn. I was just devastated. I remember that. And so that's the mindset. I just had the Michael Jordan mindset with that. It was like, look, I can turn this negative into a positive. And I just never looked back, and I just felt like I had sort of a positive outlook in like, this is going to be really hard. But I'm going to push them every day. I got to get up. I have no choice but to push a boulder up a metaphorical mountain.
I love it, because at the end of the day, we're thinking about what was going on in the world at that time. That was something that our generation had not seen. We may have read it in the history books, but it's a little bit different when it hit you personally. And then coming from, you and I have so many similarities, because I came from a small town as well. I'm the first one as well. That is pressure and weight in itself. And then you finally reach the plateau that you have been striving for, sacrificing time, effort, everything that you wanted to do. You get there, and then boom, it's gone. So what do you do? And the fact that you decided not to go somewhere in a corner and say, oh, woe is me. Why did this happen to me? You got focused, and you got determined. You flipped that anger into sheer motivation. That motivation, that anger, that upset, like, this not going to happen to me. This is not my life. And then you use that to build this amazing company, F9 Productions. So what exactly is F9 Productions for other individuals that don't know what that is?
Yeah, that's my architecture company. So if you go to, if anybody looks me up on LinkedIn, first name Lance, last name Cayko, you'll see that my little moniker is serial entrepreneur. And so I consider myself that, because the definition is well, you keep making companies. So F9 is our base company. It's an architecture company. And then we have F12 Productions. That's our real estate development and investment firm. And then F14 Productions is our architecture firm. And what that allows us to do is it allows us to be vertically integrated. And the reason why, one of the primary reasons why we vertically integrated to make a sustainable business ecosystem for me and my business partner and our employees and our families was because I was laid off like that. And my business partner was laid off in his own way like that in New York City, working for a very famous, world famous architect. So, we never wanted to feel that pain again. And so then back to LinkedIn, my preferred pronouns are positive reactionary, because I'm a positive reactionary to the negative stuff. And it has everything to do with the law of polarity. I didn't realize even what that was until I'm 42, until about 2 or 3 years ago. I started doing a lot of guesting on shows like yours, Dr. Ramsay. And I kept on explaining or talking about like this story, other stories where negative things were happening to me. And I go, God always has this plan for me. I mean, he has a plan for everybody, but like his plan with me is just so interesting to me, even because I'm like, every time something really negative happens in my life, there's something positive that happens as long as I keep the faith. I keep the faith in him and in me and my family. And then I just keep moving forward in a positive direction. And this one woman that was interviewing me, I can't remember her name right offhand. And I was explaining this. She goes, "Oh, this is the law of polarity." And I go, "What?" And she goes, "Oh yeah, it's a law of physics. You didn't know this?" And I go, "No," because the way I would explain it is I would say like, you can't have electricity if you don't have a negative plus a positive. You can't have light if you don't have dark. You can't have hot versus cold. Like it's all works together in that kind of way. Like that's, to me, one of the proofs of God is like how this all works. Like Satan plus, God is the opposite. So that sort of thing. So I had the idea is like we're going to look at, to kind of circle back on this, is we said, well, what we should do the opposite. Whatever those guys did to us, we should do the opposite. It's pretty obvious. It's like if those guys were the negative part of our early professional lives, what were they doing wrong, and what could we do opposite to them? And the number one thing was we just put on the business mindset in the architecture world, because most architects are much more focused on and care about the design for their clients and their ego versus the idea that it's a business. It can be both. Trust me. It can, as an award-winning architect who's won international architecture awards and been in magazines and shows like this, who does really, really good, I think we do really, really good work, especially in the state of Colorado, which is a very competitive place to run an architecture firm, because there's a lot of highly educated people here, especially the county we operate in, Boulder County. It's the second most educated county in the United States. We have a sophisticated clientele that demands that sort of high level design. But we always we came in into the mindset is like, we will do the good design. Like, the good design is a base. What was the point of going to design school if we weren't trying to be good designers? Because I graduated number 1, my business partner graduated number 2 in our class. And we won the awards in college. It's like, oh, I think we've proved ourselves. Like, we have the basis of good design. What are we missing? We should put customer service first. So we should put business and customer service and profit first in that kind of a way, and look at this as like a business and a customer service based business. And that's been the biggest deciding differential factor that has set us apart from most architecture firms in Colorado, and why I think we're now going 15 years strong, and we went from 2 to 10 people, and then we're also able to vertically integrate like we have.
I want to expand a little bit on this vertical integration, because many people may not even understand what that is. And I want you to explain that, as well as you and your partner, you mentioned about the growth with your staff, with your team. And so I think that is amazing how you took the negative, you turned it into a positive. You created your own safety net for you and your people. And then you was able to expand it to prove that it worked. And then you had 386% growth. I mean, most of us as entrepreneurs would be happy with 20, 40. Okay, if we get to 100% growth, we were like, yay. But you was able to do 386% growth. So walk us through the mindset, and what is like one thing that you realized that enabled you to be able to do that, to expand in all areas of your business.
Yeah, thank you for recognizing that it's a safety net. It's so timely that you said that, because I'm literally pulled one of my we were a little bit lighter on the architecture side right now because of the summer. We always have a summer lull. People go on vacation. They're just not worried about their houses or their businesses in terms of expanding. They're just ready for vacation. I pulled one of my architects out because we were running low on architecture work. Now he's doing demolition, physical demolition in one of the projects where we also became the builder, right? We flipped it into architecture plus builder. So, but to answer the question, which is like, what enabled us to get there and make that leap? For me, it started 29 years ago. And I try to talk about God a lot and just give credit where credit's due, right? So that's part of my faith. And I'm just really thankful that he set me on a path from when I was 13. And I'm not one of those folks that, like my son, one of my sons, I have four children, three boys, 1 girl. And one of them, God bless him, he's made this art behind me. It's just like, the kid's a genius, but he doesn't know what he wants to do. He doesn't want, so now he does like construction painting for me, and then painting on the side and odd jobs. And it's fine. He's trying to figure it out. But God told me when I was 13, what I wanted to be. So I grew up between, like I said, in Northwest North Dakota, between a cattle ranch and a sugar beet farm, a poor sort of Indian reservation. We were just kind of this leftover group of people. We weren't even recognized by the big tribe, so we didn't get any of that casino money, nothing like that, and not a lot of opportunities. So I tried to On the white side of my family, the sugar beet farmers, super poor, nothing to write home about. We were so poor that we had to irrigate the sugar beets and the wheat by hand. Basically, we had these like tubes, and it was very difficult. North Dakota is very hot in the summer. There's a lot of mosquitoes, the humidity. I didn't get along with my dad do well at that time, and I tried to farm with him for 1 week. 13 years old, and that's all I lasted. Not because the work was hard or too hard. I just didn't like my dad. And I go, hey, my best friend Chris, I already like figured out I'm gonna quit. He's gonna do my job. I don't want to do it. My dad's like, we got to do something. And I was like, yeah, of course. Like, I want to buy the Jordans. Like, I want to buy the school clothes. You're not gonna buy them for me, so of course I'm gonna have to make my own money. So I called up his best friend Bruce, who's a general contractor, and I asked Bruce, hey, can I have a job? Like, I'll do whatever. I always wanted to try construction. It's appealing to me. I was always that kid that was constantly drawing, building with Legos, thinking like that. And just always thought, it was just always interesting to me to make things. So he said, yeah, sure. I got a big contract this summer. We have 80 roofs to do. We're going to do one a day. And he goes, you can be my gopher. I'll pay you $7.25 an hour. And I go, cool. What's a gopher? And he goes, oh, well, you're going to go for this, go for that. When you're done going for the things, then you can get up on the roof with the big boys and learn how to roof. I go, great. I was the best dang gopher he ever had, Dr. Ramsay. And he pulled me aside. I was like so good at cleaning up and getting it done. Like, I was learning to roof. He could see the enthusiasm. And I even though it was like, in some ways, much harder work than farming. I mean, a 13-year-old boy, scrawny, carrying as many shingles as he can on his arm, up a ladder, dangerous, dirty, disgusting, the whole culture. I just loved it, though. I just loved every minute of it. About halfway through the summer, we were sitting eating lunch, and he goes, Bruce is the first entrepreneur that I met too, and he's very near and dear to my heart because of it. He pulled me aside about halfway through the summer, and he goes, hey, I'm paying you $7.25 an hour. And what do you think I'm charging the customers? And I go, $7.25 an hour. And he laughed, and I was embarrassed. And he goes, no. Like, I'm usually charging them 2 to 3 times what I pay you per hour. And I go, oh, isn't that immoral? I just didn't know.
Yeah.
And he goes, he explained business to me. He explained service-based business to me. He explained why you do the multiplier. You got to pay for the insurance. You got to pay for the tools. You got to pay for the downtime. You got to pay for vacations. You got to pay for, and then there's a risk. And at the end of the day, he explained profit, and that's his reward for taking that risk and being the boss. And what I realized about 30 years later, after I had finally read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, as I went, oh, I had the Rich Dad, Poor Dad experience. Bruce is my rich dad. My poor farmer was my poor dad. And I saw the difference between what money was like to them. My poor dad, farmer, huge anxiety about money. Even today, I'm set to go buy a brand new truck that I've earned. Spent 42 years of my life to go buy a brand new Suburban at the end of next month. And my dad was like, that's a waste of money. And he's still, on that note. And then Bruce, no anxiety about money. It wasn't that he's this big possessive person. Trust me, Bruce is not this big rich guy. And there's no attitude. It's just he doesn't have the anxiety about it. And I grew up with that anxiety. And I was like, I want to free myself from that anxiety. So I go, how do I become Bruce? Well, actually, let me jump to that. End of the summer then. We were done with 80th roof. We're done. He goes, what do you want to be? And I go, I want to be you. And and I go, like, how do I be you? Not that I wanted his job. I was just like, how do I become what you do? And he said one of the most like brave, self-confident, masculine, but also thoughtful things I think any man has ever said to me. And he goes, you don't work for me next year. And I was like, oh, why? Well, because you have to become me, you have to go learn to do the windows. Then next, you go work for a guy who just does windows and siding. Next summer, you go do framing. Next summer, you do all the different trades. And so I did. I worked a different trade every single summer until I was 2021. I even went to tech school. I didn't go to architecture school right away. I went to North Dakota State School of Science and got a technical degree in building construction technology. And then I had my second kind of entrepreneurial epiphany, and a light bulb went off.
Mhm.
And I always believe these ideas come straight from God. Like it's just
Mhm.
ethereal, come straight to you, right? That's like,
Yeah.
yeah. And our capstone project was build a house with your team. So we were building a house and saw my first set of blueprints, and the word architect came into my head. And I was like, oh yeah, huh. Well, I suddenly like school. I'm actually like on the dean's list now. I've figured out how to monetize going to school, taking advantage of like my Native American background and all the scholarships you can get with that if you just apply yourself.
Mhm.
And I was like, well, what if I become an architect too? If I could become an architect, they get hired first to design it, then I could flip them into building clients. This is a 20-year-old thought, right? And I
Mhm.
contrast that with my 20-year-old son, the artist, who's just like, it's why I just think I'm just so thankful. And so I did. I applied to architecture school, got in, accelerated again in that program, graduated with at the top of the class. There was one more word though that came to mind, and this completes the where did the vertical integration come from, the idea, all of that. The word developer. Because you
Mm.
hear that a lot in architecture schools, like you're going to be working with developers. What is a developer? I'd never even heard that. A small town kid, Northwest North Dakota, like that's not even, you don't know about that. It's builder and that's it there. And I was like, oh, if I become a developer, man, I could draw it, build it, sell it, keep it and own it. Could be an investor. Like I get paid like 3, 4, 5 times. And
Mhm.
I was just running from this anxiety of not having money. Because
Mhm.
like my favorite rapper, Kanye West, he completed a phrase that drove me nuts growing up from my mom and dad would say. And it was, mom and dad would say, having money isn't everything. And then Ye came out and said, having money isn't everything, not having it is. And I was just like,
Mhm.
oh, right in the heart, because I just was like running from this anxiety of it.
Mhm.
And then after architectural, my business partner and I took a course on how to be a developer by another architect who did do the vertical integration. We followed his footsteps.
Mhm.
And so that's what laid the base work and the groundwork for us to be able to do it.
Oh, okay. And so from there, that base, that foundation, and basically God walking you through, giving you these downloads. I call them downloads. I don't know what you
Downloads.
call. I
Yeah.
call them downloads myself. Like God give you these downloads, you start paying attention, you start noticing those downloads in your regular life, and you're like, wait, that was the hint. That's what
Mm-hmm.
he was telling me.
Mm-hmm.
Let me focus on this word. Let me build on this word. Let me learn what this word means and how I can apply it. And it
Yeah.
took you all the way to understanding that you admired the rich dad. You admired him, and you was like, I want to do this, but how? And then he relinquished you, let you go, and said you need to learn how to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You got to learn how to do all these things. So you went on your journey of learning, which I think is remarkable in the fact that you are one of the few architects that has done so many different parts of construction. Normally they go in, they learn a trade, they do that trade and
Mm-hmm.
only that trade.
Mm-hmm.
You had the unique perspective that you just didn't do this, you did that, this, and so you have, and I feel like by you having that broad and diverse experience with all the different pieces and layers of what you and your partner built with this business, help you with this 380% growth because you understand the intricacies of each and every little piece from the lowest level to the medium to the high. And I feel that that is crucial. And I feel like that actually helped you and then your partner getting in, being around the right people
Yeah.
actually help you be able to push it forward because the way you look at architect, the way that you design, a lot of designers are very arrogant
Mm-hmm.
by
Yeah.
design because because they're good. They can see things that they can actually build, all right? Which we can see things, but the average person can't build it. And
Mm-hmm.
so, how did that help you being able to be in all those different arenas of construction and building and scaling, and also your partner having experience as well that actually, I would say, thrust you into turn everything into this 386%
Yeah.
growth?
Yeah, and I was hoping you would kind of lead me there again because I wanted to get into the nitty gritty exactly how we did
Mm-hmm.
it right
Yeah.
after we laid the base down.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, so we got laid off, started, and basically, the first thing I did is I went right back to there was no architecture jobs at the time, so
Mm-hmm.
got laid off. Half of the architecture, engineering, and construction community in 2008, 2009
Mm-hmm.
during that Great Recession were unemployed. It was worse than the tech recession we just had. In terms of like 20% of the tech people were laid off. Well, boo-hoo, like there were 50% of us that were gone. And so I didn't want to move back to North Dakota. And so I knew I could see the writing on the wall. And I did two different things. First thing I did is leading up to the layoff is I would wake up every single morning as early as I could before I would get on the bus to go to Boulder and go to my work,
Mm-hmm.
the job that I would only have for a couple more months. And I had a little bit of foresight in seeing that in this design software that everybody was starting to adopt. It was basically going from 2D to 3D at this point. And so all of these manufacturers of building products were needing to take their 2D details and turn them into 3D. And I was like, oh man, I'm going to go out and do make a bunch of models. And basically I made like very fancy furniture for
Mm-hmm.
this piece of software. And I would upload it to this website called Turbo Squid. And the idea is you could sell them. I was like, I need more multiple streams of income in this recession. If I get laid off, I got
Mm-hmm.
mouths to feed. So my discipline every single day, Monday through Friday of doing that, I was uploading so many models. I got the attention of the CFO of that website. And she emailed me and she goes, hey, we have a bunch of manufacturers. So my prediction was right that are going to need their stuff turned. Are you interested in this? I go, yeah, absolutely. And then I got laid off. And I still kept doing that. And then eventually that work did flow in. So I was able to kind of have a base of work like 3 to 5. It was like 5 years of base work that we had a lot of work. And that was our bread and butter actually right away. The other thing I did though, while that was only slowly trickling in, was I did the positive reactionary thing again. So the modeling, that 3D modeling work was not enough to keep everybody fed, me and my children and my wife. And so I was like, I'll just fall back on my handyman skills. I can paint, I can do all these, I can paint, I can do carpentry, I can do all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I looked on Craigslist and I was like, I bet there's a lot of, Boulder housewives that need handyman work and they're tired of the drunk, crabby old guy coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm going to do the opposite. So I went and looked up their ads. And sure enough, like you could tell it was like, oh, this is a gruff old guy, spelling's bad. So, when they would tout, like they would say at the beginning, they're like, handyman with 40 years of experience, blah, blah, blah. And so my description was like the complete opposite. It was young, smart, handsome, master's degree, sober, handyman. And the phone did not quit ringing. It went like, it was fast. And I was so busy. And I worked for cash for a couple months, did not take unemployment. Then that modeling work finally flowed into where it was steady enough. I landed a house on the side of that
Mm-hmm.
to design, first one, and then also a clinic. And the clinic I wasn't licensed to do, so I actually ironically had to bring that back into the firm that just laid me off. And then I called my business partner up, who went to we were best friends in college.
Mm-hmm.
He went back for a master's degree thinking the recession was going to last a year. We didn't know any better, right? In Colorado, it lasted like 4 or 5 years, technically. Well, he finished his degree, then had to go live with mom and dad for a couple months, was totally dejected. He was just like depressed. And I go, hey, I got all this modeling work. I just got this house. I just got this clinic. I know we said we were going to maybe try this in 10 years from now rather than now, but how much money do you got? And he's like, I got a couple months worth of rent. And I go, well, the apartment just opened up kitty corner to me right upstairs. It's a 1-bedroom. It's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I go, let's try it. So we came down and we starved for 3 or 4 years. And, but we did exactly those fundamental things right? Like we did the opposite of the other architects. We answered emails within 1 hour, text messages, phone calls, customer service first.
Mm-hmm.
We did all of those things right. And then we had this base of modeling work. And then all of a sudden we became busy enough at work that was like, we need to hire somebody. So we reached out to the University of Colorado Boulder because we had master's degrees. And so we can teach at a university. And we said, hey, we want to hire folks from here. We've interviewed your people. They just don't have this one technical skill with the software. We're really good at it. We'd be happy to like help out and, get your students up to speed. And they go, oh, your timing is perfect. We have a class. We'd love for you guys to teach it. So we started teaching that class. And our best students became our best TAs. Our best TAs became our best employees. So we sort of had this formally going at the same time. And then it allowed us to actually take a little bit more risk in business because we had another stream of income coming in teaching on the side sort of thing. And then during this whole time, one of our first big commissions was a duplex, a house, 2 of them right next side by side. And we were so excited. We got this commission and we called one of our best friends, Blake, up. Me and Al were going out for like burgers and Boulder or something to sort of celebrate. And we called up our best friend, Blake, one of our best friends, Blake, and he was another architect. And we said, hey, how's it going? How's your job? He had one of these jobs that was like very secure because there was a lot of federal work that he was doing. And he hated his job. Despite having a job, he hated his job. And we go, oh, why don't you quit your job and just build a tiny house and drive around, take photos. Just how much money you got? And he's like, I got like 25 grand. I'm like, that's a lot of money right now. So like, you should just want you to do that. Who cares? You're a single guy, whatever. I'm not going to do that, blah, blah, blah. Well, Al and I are sort of these entrepreneurs that just go for, when we know a good idea, then we go for it. Right. And we're like, man, like, what if we did design and build a tiny house? Like the tiny house movement is about to explode. It's kind of at its beginnings because it was a reaction to the Great Recession. Yeah. Which was caused by these McMansions and all the loans. So we get home that night and I buy the domain name Blake'sTinyHouse.com and we make a quick little website and we email Blake in the morning. I go, you're doing it. And he played along for like 3 or 4 months. And he and I and Al Gore, one of our friends, Sarah, who's another architect, we designed these tiny houses. And we were trying, at the time, the tiny houses that were being designed were like little cabins on wheels, which were okay, whatever. But we were like, what's the opposite of that? The opposite of that is like cool, modern, chic, a lot of glass. And can you make the tiny house so it can expand and like transform and be more than just this one thing? So that's what we came up with is this tiny foldable house. Like the deck folds down to make a living space outside. There's an awning that folds up to help shade it. There's this huge glass wall. It was all conceptual until it wasn't. Because when we got down to it, we finished the design and everything, and Billy goes, guys, I'm not doing this. And I go, oh, okay, no problem. But we had so much organic internet traffic to that website. Places like CBS would call us, NBC, all of these networks were on the verge of trying to create these reality shows about people who were designing and building and living in tiny houses. Like we really hit a zeitgeist and of the time. And then my business partner goes down to the Denver Home and Garden Show, and HGTV was there. And they had a big sign and they had it in front of a tiny house. And they go, we're looking for people who are designing and building tiny homes. We would love to feature you on a new show we're putting out. And it's Big House Tiny Living was the show. And my business partner goes over and he goes, hey, we're doing it. We weren't doing it. But this is, sort of the hypomania of our entrepreneurs. Alex comes back to the office that day. I'll never forget it. And he goes, oh, by the way, I signed us up for HGTV today. They're going to do an episode on our tiny house. And I go, what? And he goes, oh yeah, we're going to build it. And I go, how, with what money? He goes, we'll figure it out. So we scrambled. We took out, this is the only business loan we've taken out besides the loan to do the real estate development, which is, I wouldn't consider that a business loan. I would consider that a development loan. We took out a $50,000 loan to build this tiny house. And HGTV signed us up. We're season 1, episode 13 of Big House Tiny Living. We designed it. We built it. It was successful. We ended up winning. So it was a huge risk. We won an International Architecture Award. We got into Dwell magazine because of it. The episode aired every 2 weeks. It was so popular. It went so viral on the internet because it was nobody had ever seen anything like this. And this is me using our design and our construction skills again, right? And then Subaru got in touch with us, and they go, "Hey, we can't design or build what you did, but we want that. So that's why we need you. Will you design and build 2 more for us? And we need them to be bigger and badder and bigger decks, a deck on top that could hold like rock bands and stuff." And my business partner comes to me all excited, and I go, "I'm not doing that, dude. The first one is so hard." I go, "I used every skill I have built for my whole life to make this thing that can fold up on wheels. Like, it was so difficult." And he goes, "What if I tell him this number?" And I go, "Well, if they go for that number, I don't think my wife could even say no." And they didn't even blink. It's Subaru. And so we built 2 more for them, and they went and toured the United States with them. And they put on like these things called Winterfest. So they would park them on like the ski slopes, the bottom of the ski slopes, and you go and get a hot cup of coffee and then have some Subaru swag. And, that was sort of the deal. And we made enough money off that project to where we finally had enough to where we bought 1/3 of an acre of undeveloped land in this town of 100,000 people that we operate. Our headquarters operate out of Longmont, Colorado. And then we started pursuing the real estate dream, and ended up getting our general contractor's license, because the tiny house builds were anarchy builds, which is kind of beautiful. They were just, you didn't need a building permit. It was so awesome. But then we ended up becoming Class B general contractors, and then doing a full-fledged $3 million development of a triplex and a sixplex. I'm actually sitting in one of the condos now. I live in it. Right next door, where I'm pointing, is our office. So we ended up retaining 3 of the units as investment properties. And then after that, that's what made the vertical integration happen. And when you combined all 3 companies, that's where the 386% growth came in.
First of all, let me just say this. God has a way of mapping your life out if you just pay attention. Everything that you described, everything that has happened in your life, I describe entrepreneurship as a roller coaster ride. You're going to eventually get finished, but in between is where the people kind of fall off. You're going to have these twists, turns, ups and downs, and we can also describe it, for those of you who like creation, to the mountains, the pits and the valleys. But in everything that you did, no matter if you was laid off, you or your partner, you guys still went back to your foundational skills of your architect and design. And I think it's incredible how you was able to think on how you can multiply your skills and talents in multiple arenas, but yet you're doing the same thing, but you're innovating, adding on to an industry that has not caught up with you yet. You're in the future. You have the perception to see future. They in the now, and you're like, "Oh, I'm watching how things going.
Yeah.
Tiny house is going to be here. I'm going to take this risk." This is what healthy risk look like. You have the projection, you have the present, then you turn around, and then you see, okay, based upon these projections and how things are going, we need to do this. But it's genius how you because entrepreneurs saying multiple streams of income, and then they go and form all these different businesses that are not related in any way, shape, or form. What you did is build build businesses, because they like relationships. They can be cousins, they can be brothers and sisters, and you're taking those skills and just making them better in every industry. That is okay, Lance. I'm like, you took me on the journey. I love when individuals tell me a story and take me on the journey. That was absolutely incredible. And it goes back to, for me, when you said in the beginning, you did not like farming, but you love Legos. You love to build, and you just Legoed your life and your businesses throughout all of this time. Wow. That's incredible.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the best, like, entrepreneurship is so creative. It's so creative. Yeah. Like, and a lot of people I think they get this perception of you're this big bad businessman or woman, and that you are like a tyrant and you're just like yelling all the time and stressed out. And it's like, it's so creative. It's just unbelievable that, and there was actually, I was giving an interview myself, and I always want to share this phrase with you. It's just sticking with me, right? It hit me right in my heart, right in my soul, right in my mind all day today. And it was, he said, ideas assail you with such velocity you are defenseless. Ideas assail you with such velocity you are defenseless when you're an entrepreneur. Because when a download comes in from God, I'm gonna use that from now on too. When the download comes in from God, you better just hold on if you're an entrepreneur. Because if you know it's one of those good ideas that is of the time, the zeitgeist, like the tiny house that I just described for you, or like in another case where we did these doomsday dwellings, we came up with all these these 4 different houses that could survive different parts of the apocalypse. And we did it in 2012 because what happened in 2012? It was the Mayan calendar, right? So it was like one of the peak Google searches. Another one that we did, and this is just another idea for entrepreneurs, is like you got to figure out how to time sort of when the media is going to start picking up stuff. And then you can get all this free press when you don't have any money. One of the other ones that really went popular and viral for us was like, remember Jeff Bezos was trying to make Amazon headquarters 2? He was trying to find some other city. He was going to put the second headquarters there. So we did a study, a quick down and dirty study. It took us like 2 or 3 days in the office. My business partner did it. What would it look like if Jeff Bezos put the Amazon headquarters? This is like 2016, 2017, something like that.
Yeah.
Around there. What would it look like if he put it in downtown Denver and he did the tallest skyscraper in North America? That little project, my job was to push it into the media with social media. So I did that. I spent one whole day after we did that during that week when they were going to announce it, or the week leading up to it or something. And we ended up getting an amazing bunch of coverage for it. We got in like 2 local papers because of it. We got on Fox 31. We had an interview. They came all the way up to our office. Denver 7 came up, and then we ended up getting a multifamily project out of it, like this townhome, 12 townhomes by a local developer who found us in the paper, and he goes, this is exactly what I'm looking for. Like, I want somebody who's doing something innovative and unique and new, and kind of understands how this all works. So that kind of stuff is just like so enthralling and so exciting to do.
Love it, love it, love it, Lance. And when before we go, I wanted you to mention about your podcast, because many people probably want to hear your thought processes more, because you take us on a journey and you make it simple. Many people can take you on a journey, but you don't understand the navigation of where they're taking you, because it's so over the top of your head. And so I know that you are the co-host of Inside the Firm, which is one of the top architect podcasts globally. And I know why. So what made you say, okay, with all this, I am going to take time to do a podcast? Do you feel that it's beneficial for ones who have businesses to do a podcast or have a podcast?
Yeah. Well, we started our podcast 8 years ago in 2017. And why that's important to note is because that was our 7th year in business. And if you are entrepreneur savvy, you know that most businesses fail within those first 7 years. Like, that is a statistic that is notable. And we got to year 7 and it was like, oh my God, we haven't failed yet. Oh my God, we should tell our story. I think it's inspiring. I want to inspire. I want more millennials. I want more Gen Z to turn off the news and shut off the negativity about like how hard it is for our generation. And it is. We have been dealt the much harder hand of cards than the boomers. We just have to play ours right. We just have to play ours almost perfectly. You just have to be disciplined. You just have to be able to. You have to have some faith. You got to talk to God. So that's why we started Inside the Firm podcast. It was mainly first geared towards architects to become more entrepreneurial like we are. Is like, hey, here's our story. Here's how you can do it. We're going to lay everything bare for you guys. We're going to bring you through the ups, the downs, the struggles, all the other stuff. And then eventually about 4 or 5 years ago, I started there's 2 shows that happen per week. The Friday show is me and Al. You get to come inside the firm. We talk about our real estate firm, our architecture firm, our construction firm, everything we're doing, how we're doing it, how you can do it. tips, tricks, the whole thing. And then the Monday show is he and I interview folks like you. We interview folks who are also innovators in different spheres. We've had some pretty famous folks on. We keep getting more famous people on. We keep getting more successful people on. And that's called Monday Morning Coffee Inside the Firm. And that's for everybody. That's for anybody who is looking to be the best they can, self-improvement, business improvement, entrepreneurship. It's awesome. So yeah, check it out at InsideTheFirmPodcast.com.
Love it. So you guys make sure to follow and subscribe and listen so that you can learn. The last thing I wanted to do before we go is I feel that a person, once they reach a certain plateau, they should never forget, meaning they should pay it forward. And one thing that I find that is incredibly humbling with you is that you developed this project where you turn community garden into a nonprofit. So what was the idea behind you going back to gardening? You know, when you felt like when you were 13, you was like, this is not for me. I'm out. So what pulled you back to what you thought was not, I would say, part of your whole download of what God gave you? Because you end up going back to your core. Yep. You end up going back. So what made you do that for the community?
It's just like Ye said, but it doesn't relate to the money. This time it relates to the garden. It was like, well, you're not having it is everything, right? And so when I moved here to Colorado in 2008 with my wife and my 2 children, we lived in an apartment. That's all we could afford. And then finally, you know, you can breathe a little bit after grad school, and it's not, life isn't so intense. It's so intense in architecture school for that last year. And as I was just kind of like gathering just kind of breathing and letting sort of the subconscious come up, it was like, oh, I know where my food comes from. I actually loved being in the garden with grandma, just the farm I didn't really like too much. And I was like, I kind of really owe it to my children, like to show them how they can be self-sufficient, grow their own food, where it comes from. It gives you a different kind of level of gratefulness every day for that meal, for sure, no matter how wealthy you get, because then you're much closer and grounded, literally and figuratively, right, to the earth. So I just went on Google and I looked up community garden. I was like, it's Boulder County. There has to be a community garden. And I found a community garden. This would have been, 2010. This would have been a long time ago, 2009, 2010. Found a community garden and signed up and grew some tomatoes and potatoes and stuff like that. Second year, I became one of the garden leaders. And I was the garden leader there for 10 years. And then 2020 came around, and the original nonprofit who was in control of us was Growing Gardens out of Boulder. And what they did is they grew so big, they were like, hey, we actually kind of want to give local control back now to each individual garden spot that we've created. And they go, would you be interested? And I go, I have always dreamed of having my own nonprofit. Like, I believe in that kind of capitalism and giving back. Because the more you give, even just like this interview, just anything, it's just like the more selfless you are. I mean, that's what God wants, is like, he's going to bring you up, and like, you better be selfless in a certain extent, right? You have to be. So that was it. I was like, yeah, I would love to take this over. So I founded Longmont Community Gardens. We took over the original location. And last year, I locked myself in my condo for one whole weekend, sat down and wrote a 20,000 word USDA grant. And I won it. And I won an $86,000 federal USDA grant to expand our garden and double it in the current location and then another location. So we've expanded. We're pretty huge now. We filled all the plots this last year, and it feels good. Like, it was on my vision board to do that, and it was very difficult to do, to kind of get that money, get the whole project started. Matter of fact, it was harder actually getting the garden off the ground than it was building in the city, because of all different various reasons, especially at our second location. I didn't think it would be that hard, but it was. But now we're successful, and people are thriving.
Well, I absolutely love it. Lance, I want to thank you so much for coming on, being a featured guest of our show, taking us on a journey of your life, of self-discovery, innovation, being innovative, being diversifying, and taking the unique gifts, skills, and talents that God gave you and expand them in ways that most people stop at the first level. You kept going and going and going. And even when you got knocked down, it allowed you, it's like the more you got knocked down, the more determined you got to do better because you already knew what God had gave you these words, and we know He can't lie. So wait a minute, I have to figure this out, and then you brought other people along. So it was very good, very good. So you guys, tell people how they can get in contact with you?
Two different ways. I would everybody should go to f9productions.com, sign up for our newsletter. That way you can keep track of everything we're doing, architecture, engineering, construction wise. We do a newsletter each week. And then go to LinkedIn, link in with me. I will link in with anybody. First name Lance, last name Cayko, Cayko. There's only one of me.
Love it, love it, love it. Thank you so much again for being a featured guest and helping. This interview was not just about architect and design. It was about the heart of the entrepreneur. So the tips, the strategies, his life, what his blueprint that he built for himself can be duplicated by what you do with your gifts, skills, and talents. Don't think that this is just linear. Oh, well, I'm not an architect. Oh, I'm not a designer. But are you an entrepreneur? Are you a podcaster? Take this information and adapt it and adjust it to your unique situation and watch yourself thrive and grow. So on that note, you guys have a great, amazing rest of your day. Make sure to download today our free CTR Media Network app. You can watch us on Roku TV, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Web TV, Android, iOS app, and Google Play. And for those of you who are in South Carolina or do not mind the drive, come on down to the Media and Web Summit in Columbia, South Carolina, so that we can meet you, because I am going to be teaching you how I was able to do, with God's help, this thing that we call media. And also my business partner, she's going to explain to you how you can incur wealth and build it on a personal as well as a business perspective. And then we have other experts in the building that is going to be sharing their expertise in visibility, branding, how to connect and communicate, wealth. And for those of you who don't know how to write a grant, like today's guest, Lance, we have someone in the building that's going to help you write your grant. Okay. So thank you so much, you guys, for tuning in. This has been an amazing episode, and we will see you next week, same time, same place. Have an amazing day. Bye.
CTR Media Network is now accepting new podcasters to join our growing network that's reaching 350 million global listeners. Have you heard? CTR Media Network offers podcast production, podcast training, distribution, and product placement. Book us for your next event or schedule an interview with CTR Media Network podcasters today. To learn more, go to ctrmedianetwork.com.